In this video, I'm going to show you how to make any room look cinematic. I'm going to show you an example from my last video that I recorded about the FX30 compared to the A6700 that I shot when I was traveling in a hotel room. So I didn't have any video lights, I didn't have any equipment there, and I had to be creative to make the room look cool. So basically, I'm going to break down this image, how I achieved that look, and all the things that I consider important to make the shot look good. First thing that you will need to do is turn off any ceiling lights. These are always looking pretty bad. You will need to add the lights after, but not the ceiling lights. First thing that I did here, I wanted to control the lights, so I didn't want any natural light in the shot. I wanted this basically, if I had to recreate this shot again to continue recording in another time or during the night, I have full control of the light that I'm putting in the shot, and also you don't have like any variation from the natural light changing, because sometimes if there's clouds or the light changes, you're going to see this in the shot as well. So next thing that you need to do if you want to have a cinematic look is to have the softest light as possible. In this setup that I'm showing you, I had no video lights with me because I was traveling. I used the desk light that I had in the room, but if I use the desk light directly pointing to me, the light is very harsh, and that was not the look that I wanted. Unless you want like a really harsh light. For that, you can get creative with anything that you can pass the lights through. Could be like white sheets, or in that case what I was using was the pillow, because it was a white pillow. I was pointing the desk light to the pillow, so this way the pillow is a bigger white surface that was casting softer light to me. And it looks much more pleasing image. So in any room that you are, like, what things that you need to see is what are the white surfaces that I can use that are big enough so the light is soft. So you will need to search for white surfaces. Could be a white wall, could be a big pillow, or anything that you can bounce the light so it's a bigger source and you don't have like this direct harsh light pointing to you. As these lights are not so powerful because these are desk lights, what I had to do is bump the ISO up. In this camera that I'm using, the A6700, I could use 6400 ISO without any problem, and this made the shot properly exposed even if I had less light. One really nice trick to use in any shot to make it more cinematic is to use practical lights. Basically, these are lights that would be in that room that motivate the light. In this case, I'm using one lamp behind me. If you see, all the movies are showing lamps. This makes the lighting feel natural because you think, or your brain thinks, that the light is coming from the practicals, when most of the times it's not. It's coming from video light, but they use that to motivate the light, and the brain believes that that's true. For this shot and the shot that I was using in the hotel, I have the same setup because I really liked it. I was using this practical light that is a typical living room light pointing to me, so this way I can have this rim light behind me and separates me from the background. If I didn't have this backlight, I would blend with the background because it's dark behind, and the dark side of my face would blend with the background. This way you can see like there's a clear separation from me and the background, and this is adding depth to the shot. Another important thing if you want a cinematic shot in any room is the exposure. As I said before, I was using ISO 6400, but that's because I wanted to have like enough exposure in the camera, so then I could have room in the post-production to bring it down. I was overexposing +2 EB to have like a bright image, so then I can bring it down in post and I can retain the shadow information and you cannot see any grain in the shot. For a great exposure, what I'm doing is having display LUTs in the camera and see how the image will look graded after. Otherwise, it will show overexposed in the camera, and most likely I'm not going to be able to tell if that's well exposed or not. This is a good feature that I have in the A6700. Basically, I bring the LUTs from an SD card and use that while shooting, and that makes the exposure much easier. And what's more important when you're exposing an image for a long shot like this one is to set the white balance to a fixed value. Could be daylight, could be interior light. Right now I'm using 5500 Kelvin because this light is 5500. In the shot in the hotel I was using 3200 because most of the lights were tungsten lights and I wanted to have this white daylight look. What is more important is that you're using a fixed value, not using auto white balance, because when you're having a long shot, most likely you're going to have variation of light, and this will make the image more difficult to grade in post because it's going to be with different colors all the time. This way you fix a color at the beginning and the whole video is the same white balance and the same colors. Another thing that you want to add to the image is contrast. If you plan to shoot in a dark background, using a light t-shirt would make you stand out in the shot, and this will add contrast. Like now you can see my t-shirt is white and the background is dark. This makes me stand out in the shot. Also, you can see some variations of light across the frame. So from left to right, you see like light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. And this makes the image more three-dimensional instead of having like a flat surface that all is lit and doesn't look good. If you're using practical lights or room lights as I was using, you will need to be careful about light flickering. For that, there's a couple of things that you could take into consideration. One is knowing in which country you're shooting, and the standard for electricity there could be like NTSC or PAL, depending on the country. The shot that I was doing from the hotel, I messed up because I was shooting in Canada and the standard there is NTSC, and I was using PAL settings in my camera, which makes the lights flicker a little bit in this area. So this is something that you will need to take into consideration when shooting with lights that are not video lights, because most video lights don't have this problem, but practical lights do. For that, you will need to use 25p for PALs, 30p for NTSC countries, or adjust the shutter speed of the camera to be a multiple of 60 or 50 depending on the country. And sometimes this will not be enough. The modern cameras also have variable shutter that lets you change the shutter to decimal values. So cameras like the one that I'm using also have variable shutter, and you can adjust the values really precisely. Instead of saying 48 or 50, you could use 50.2, 50.4, and you will need to try until you don't see any flickering in your lights. To make any room look cinematic, what you need to do is to find the best angle in the room. If the room is small, a good trick is to put the camera in a corner and shoot to the other corner of the room. It will make the room look bigger. And if you're close to the camera, this will add more separation from the background. Sometimes you will need to try different angles and see which one works better for you. In the hotel room, it was quite small and I didn't have like a lot of room for moving the lights. Also, I didn't want to move the lights a lot. It was not my space, it was not my place. So even if I wanted to move it, there was not a lot of ways to plug the lights in another way. I also had this big couch that I wanted to use because it looks really nice in the shot. And in the end, I ended up with this shot that it has some texture in the background because of the curtains. It has the light that I could use as a backlight and the desk light that I could use to bounce the light. First, I tried to put the tripod in the other side of the bed, but it was too far away. Even if I was zooming in, it was not looking good. So I ended up putting the tripod on top of the bed, and this made the shot look really good, even if the tripod looks a bit weird here in the bed. In the end, what matters is the shot and the framing that you have, and not how it looks in the actual room. If you are going to be shooting in a hotel or in an Airbnb or something like this, be respectful of the things that are there. These aren't yours, and these should stay the same way as they were before. What I usually do is to take a picture just in case I change things from one place to the other, to leave it the same way at the end, or don't move a lot of things so it's easy to put it back to the original place. To try different angles, what I usually do is to use the camera monitor, but I could also do some pictures or some small clips and then see in the computer the different angles and see which one I like the most. But this is up to you to try different angles and see which one works better for you. I keep changing the place that I'm shooting at home to try different things. Right now I'm trying this one that is close to the one that I did in the hotel room because I really like the setup and I wanted to try to recreate the same at home. One of the most important things to make a shot look cinematic is audio. Audio is as important as the image in a shot. If you have a good pleasing shot but the audio is really bad, you're going to break the cinematic magic. In this video that I was shooting in the hotel, I was using this cheap microphone, whereas I'm using right now, this is the Rode Lav mic. I'll put the link in the description in case that you want to check. This is a really cheap microphone, it's about $60. You can compare how this sounds compared to the shotgun mic that I had in the camera. I wanted to record this video to explain the reasons why I got the A6700. I wanted to record this video to explain the reasons why I got the A6700, and it's because it's close to me, it's much better. And for the recording, I'm using the iPhone voice memos connected to the microphone, and then I sync that in post, which is pretty easy. You synchronize in Final Cut or any software basically by tapping one click, and then the audio gets synchronized with the video. To make the audio sound the best, you will need to add a compressor after in post, so all the levels of the voice are normalized, so you don't have like moments that is really loud and moments that is quite low. And then in some cases you will need to add voice isolation or any other technique that reduces the noise in the room. In some cases this is needed, in some cases it's not. If your room has some background noise, you will use that to avoid having this issue. And last point is the post-production and the color grading. For that, I'm using a LUT that converts to S-Log3 to Rec 709, and sometimes I add a little bit of color, but most of the times it's a one-click grading. I put this LUT, makes the image look good already. And if I want to add like an extra touch, I recently learned about this technique that is called bleach bypass, that is removing a bit of saturation of the image and makes it look quite good. So I'm using these two LUTs, like the bleach bypass and the S-Log3 to Rec 709, and that's it. I hope you like this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.